Okay, I am going to jump to the next one. This is the shortest presentation, just a real quick one. It's also for the sake of sort of videoing this, by the way. Uh, so this is a quick presentation on OKR check-ins. In fact, we've started doing this, and I'm actually really happy with the regular syncs that I have been having and the teams have been having amongst themselves. But I thought I'll just quickly cover a refresher on OKR check-ins and what they are. I'm going to skip the terminology refresher in terms of our hierarchy of sort of company objectives, KRs, TQOs, TQKRs, and initiatives. So let's talk about what a check-in is. So every quarter we set our team quarterly objectives. Every year we set our company annual objectives, right? But within the quarter, then each team has their own sprint cycle or their own kind of own mechanisms for working on initiatives, etc. And the idea of having a check-in, typically on, so here I'm prescribing that the cadence that teams should typically have is either a weekly and or fortnightly/monthly cadence for regular check-ins on the team objectives and team KRs and team initiatives. Ideal circumstances, teams should themselves meet every week, but again, I leave it to you guys. And again, ideal circumstances, at least every fortnight or every month, team plus management should catch up on their team quarterly objectives and KRs basically. The process that we typically follow, and again, this is not exactly hard and fast, these are some recommended steps that every time you're doing a check-in, you want to try and record the progress on your KRs. So as a team, what's the percentage completion of your KR? And this is again a good practice that you may choose to follow, may not choose to follow again, but it's a good practice to see which of your objectives and which of your key results are on track. So we will achieve them. They're lagging behind, so we may actually not achieve them, or we will achieve part of them, but not all of them. And at risk means that we may achieve very little of that KR or not at all achieve it. And so this gives you also a classification to see where we are on each of your objectives and KRs. I think this part is the slightly more important part also. It's just generally reviewing the initiatives that were executed in the last period, whether it's a week, fortnight, or month, and how those initiatives have actually impacted the key results. Could we have avoided the initiatives that actually had no impact on the key results? So you might find that you tried 5 experiments the last fortnight or 3 experiments and they didn't move any of our KRs. Okay, you spend about 5-7 minutes figuring out, could we have avoided that? What do we, where did we go wrong, etc. And then could we identify, could we get better at identifying higher impact initiatives? So those initiatives that actually make a difference to your key result. So it's useful to, perform these check-ins to actually run through the initiatives and do sort of it's like a mini retrospective, and I'll talk about the bigger retrospective as my, as a subsequent presentation. And then also potentially discussing the initiatives you're looking at taking up in the next period, whether again it's week, fortnight, month. So which are the top initiatives that you will pick up that will impact the TQR, or initiatives that will be discovery initiatives to figure out what you want to do, etc. Right? So just again, not dwelling on this too much, but as a check-in, typically try and record progress, review the past initiatives. Were they good? Were they bad in terms of impact? And if they didn't create an impact, then how do we fix that? And figure out the next set of initiatives. That's your typical check-in process. Last couple of slides out here. Why check-ins? So the first one, and it's in fact given me, just doing check-ins with you guys, by the way, has given me this benefit to a significant degree, and I'm sure it does to you guys also, is creating focus by itself. We can create all of these nice team quarterly objectives, company annual objectives, team quarterly KRs, and then conveniently forget about them and get distracted. It's super easy to get distracted. 20 people, and by the way, I've been meaning to say that we should probably stop this practice, but 20 people send messages in chat room saying, for instance, in product scenarios, like, hey, this feature is not working, or there's a bug here, etc. And suddenly now, software development teams might be tempted saying, oh yeah, this is a bug, I can quickly fix it. Let me go ahead and do that. Or, people might send messages to the marketing channel, go-to-market channels. Like, we end up communicating and distracting each other all the time. We're our biggest sort of, enemy and victims in both circumstances. And so having this weekly check-in where we actually just read through each key result and the corresponding initiatives that we have done against those key results and whether they have impacted them or not, actually keeps them top of the mind and maintains that focus, maintains the focus that we will constantly work on initiatives and try and reduce distractions that take away from actually making a meaningful impact with key results. Second, it lets us identify the at-risk KRs. And this is very important in planning, because please understand also that, we create these quarterly plans, but there are interdependencies. So if the product team has agreed to deliver on certain key results, based on that, the business development team is going to go and talk to clients and maintain or mention certain deadlines. And if those key results suddenly are not met at the end of the quarter, and if we find out too late, we may have miscommunications, etc. So it's important for people to know across the organization that what we are going to achieve and what we weren't able to or will not be able to achieve because these KRs are at risk. And so as long as teams do their check-ins and record them somewhere, and we share these updates, both within the team, you can identify what your at-risk KRs are, and across teams, people realize, okay, well, this stuff is, on track or lagging, and this stuff is actually at risk, and it gives all of us a better sort of idea of where we are at. First and third actually are my most important benefits of doing regular check-ins, which is improving discovery. The biggest advantage for check-ins to me is this reviewing initiatives that we executed in the last week to be able to see, or last period, to be able to see, could we have avoided the ones that didn't actually move the needle? And the more we figure out, hey, I tried these 3 experiments because I thought they were going to, change the world. And believe me, I have hundreds of such ideas that I've gone through in my life, right? So I had these 3 experiments I ran that I thought would make a massive difference. And actually none of them did. If I don't stop during these weekly check-ins and during the quarterly retrospectives, I'll cover later, to kind of at least just think about, okay, I tried these initiatives, they didn't work. Why did they not work? I'm never going to improve my discovery process. The discovery process refers to how do we constantly discover those initiatives that are actually going to make a meaningful impact, the highest impact, in fact, right? So the check-in also helps you analyze and figure out, what could have been done better on a more frequent cadence than a quarterly basis. So yeah, that's the entire deck and presentation on why we should and do, whatever fortnightly, monthly, weekly check-ins. I would say as a team, you decide your own cadence for your team. I tend to participate typically fortnightly or monthly with different teams or so. So my cadence with you guys, and when I say my cadence, it's not a separate check-in. So some of your team check-ins could become team plus management check-ins, and we can mutually decide that cadence is whatever sort of comfortable. All right, that finishes my presentation on check-ins.